What's up, everyone? All right, so we're going to go over this trade from this morning. A couple trades, actually. First trade was on MYSZ. It was a loser. Second trade was on Cone, and that was a winner. So you can see here, coming into the open, it's actually already 9:39. At this point, I hadn't taken any trades yet. I had two trades that I tried to take on CHFS, but I didn't get filled on the orders. And I had two stocks on my watch list this morning, which were CHFS, and the other one was CUR. And on both of those, they pretty much faded out of the gate. CHFS did pop up here from $3. We opened at 302 and popped to a high of 327. So, you know, I might have been able to scalp a little bit on the first one and probably would have given it back on the second one. So probably just as well I didn't get filled. And CUR on the open was not clean at all. This one pretty much just faded. So no trades on that one. So at this point, I'm watching the scanners. And all of a sudden, we see MYSZ hit the high day momentum scanner. All right, so I pull it up here. And in my main account, I type in the 10,000 shares. So that's right. Sorry, in my IRA account, I type in the 10,000 shares at $1.53 right here. And I click the buy button. All right, so here's the buy button. I'm watching it, have my order ready to go. I see the buyers that come up at 50. Was it? Yeah, 50 right in this area. I'm still sort of watching it, deciding whether or not I'm going to get in. I don't have the chart displayed because I was using both my brokerage accounts. So at this point, the chart, the chart looked like this. So we're surging up. We hit a high of 55. We pull back for a second, and I was like, this thing is strong. I'm going to jump in. I'll say, in hindsight, this entry was pretty high. This wasn't the best entry. So I jump in here. I'm seeing all this buying, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get in. The fill here was actually really good, really quick. I'm in there, and then I switch over into my main account, and I start adding. And now I'm like, okay, it seems like it's starting to take off. So I was more aggressive. And at this point, I was like, oh, hold up one second. You know, it just popped to 70. It looked like it was going to be strong. And then it dropped. It kind of dropped on this candle. So right here, as it's at 70, I'm adding, thinking that it's going to open up. And this was sort of the moment where I got a little nervous. Let me just pause this. Was this 20,000 share seller here at 69. So you can see he's, right at 69, right there. And then, you know, as the price comes up, that was kind of the thing that I was like, oh boy, this might be an issue. And I'm thinking, part of me is thinking about just bailing out, but I'm like, I've got 20,000 shares here. I can't just bail out on the bid. I'm going to lose, I'm going to have slippage. I'm going to have to piece out of this. In this one, I end up deciding just to press the bail button and take what I can get. So I'm about to press the bail button on my IRA account. Again, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it gets bought up. And then it doesn't. I press the sell button once. It sells some. I'm now just sitting and waiting. This is the way it has been with Interactive Brokers. And then there goes the rest at 60. All right, so now I'm out with my main account. Or with my IRA, $305 profit, whatever. Nothing to be excited about. And I'm still holding it in my my main account. And I'm thinking, okay, if it can get back up over 70, I should be in good shape. And I should be able to sell it maybe around 71, 72. So now I'm just kind of watching it. I'm giving it a second. I'm thinking, all right, first 1 minute candle to pull back. You know, this is where we are right now. And then that happened. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. You can see I'm down $1,600. So I'm like, all right, well, this is the first red candle. You know, we'll give it a second to make a new high. And, you know, it's got to get back up over 70. So that's the line that I'm watching. And we know sometimes we'll see this little consolidation right here, and then we'll pop right over 70. And next thing you know, we're up at $2. So I was like, I'll give it a second. But I'm knowing that I don't want to see I don't want to see it break below the $0.50. That's a psychological level of resistance that I don't want to see break. And so right here, I'm like, this is not good. We're seeing selling. We're getting closer and closer to the $0.50. I'm still giving it a little bit of time, but I'm not liking the looks of it. I've got my hand on the bailout. I see that little flash of selling right there at 52. Not liking that. Feels like we're more on the weak side. It's not holding up. I'm down now $1,800, still holding, and boom, boom, I sell it right there. And the fill was instant. Sold 10,000 and 10,000 within 2 cents, and that was the right move. So with that, I'm down $2,400 on the day. However, as you can see, this continues to sell off, and it was the right move to sell that. It did not end up, retracing and coming back to the highs. So a little disappointing there. Never like a $2,400 loss. And yes, I maybe could have sold a little faster the way I did in my IRA account, but with 20,000 shares, it's not easy to get in and get out. You got to be 100% sure you want to bail before you bail. And in that one, I held it a little bit longer, thinking that I'd give it the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, and I probably was doing a little bit of I made $10,000 yesterday. I can afford a little bit of a loss. But just like that, I lost 25% of yesterday's profit, $2,400. Well, I guess 300 here, so 2,100. But in any case, it's not a good loss. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, time for me to sit on my hands for a second, be patient and not push it. So I'm sitting on my hands, and then I pull up Cone. All right, so again, on this one, I left my Interactive Brokers window there, so I wasn't streaming that chart. So let's put up Cone. All right, so Cone right here. Now remember, yesterday, you guys may not remember this, but yesterday Cone was strong, so it made this big move on the daily chart from $4 up to almost $8. The high was yesterday was $7.70. And so today I was like, I'm not interested because I think it's sold off too much. It didn't hold its level. It's a doji candle on the daily chart. It just, to me, looks weak. I don't think it's going to do it. But out of the gates, it did pop up right here in the first candle up to a high of 625. And I was like, all right, that's interesting. But it ended up being another doji. It then pulls back and pulls back. And right here is where I pulled it up. It starts to hit the scanner here as it popped up to a high of 635. And initially I was sort of like, oh, I don't know. It's probably just going to double top against a high of day, which was 625. I don't think it's really going to go a lot further than that. But it ended up going further than that. It popped up to 25, and then you can see here it hits a high of 74. So it definitely started to take off. And so at this point, I pull it up. I'm watching it. I see it right here at 33, and I'm starting to think about the $0.50. And let's just pause this again for 1 second. I'm already seeing on the level 2, we've got 30, 33, 49, 53, and then 75. So that tells me it wouldn't take a lot for this stock to get to 75. There's only 3 tiers or 4 tiers in between us and 75. So I see that. I recognize it was parabolic yesterday, and I'm thinking, all right, this may be worth a stab. At the same time, I also see here 610 on the bid, 606, and then 560. So it could drop back down to 560 pretty quickly as well. And that's kind of where I'm like, all right, I'm thinking I'm going to jump in this, but I got to be just a little careful on my size. So it pops up to 28, and now I'm just watching it. I'm watching the level 2. I'm watching the time in sales. A little bit of selling here. Again, you see that 63 down there, which is a little scary. Now 71, now 58. So if it breaks below 6, it can really drop. It's kind of the moment of truth. What's it going to do? I've got my hand on the Shift 1 key, ready to press the buy button. So 10 by 20, 12 by 20, I'm not sure it's really going to do anything. I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe it's not going to end up working. Again, here on this side, you can see 20, 28, and then 63. 28 and then 65, 67. And that's the moment right there. See that? Right there. That's when I was like, okay, it's game time. It's starting to move. So let's go back. When I started to see that little rush of buying that popped in there. Oops. Why is this doing that? All right, so we've got 28 on the ask. Here we go, 28, 28, 30, 47, 47. And that's where I was like, okay, we're getting volume. I'm going to jump in. Hotkey, boom, boom. I'm in 5,000 shares at 45. Right here, as you can see. So I see it started to take off. That's where I jump in. Now we've got 58 on the ask, 45 on the bid, and over 75, over the high of that first candle, that's where I look to add. So let me show you the chart on this. And now it looks like we're about to get halted. All right, so let me pull up the chart again. All right, so we surge up, and we hit a high of 74. So it happened pretty fast, and what ended up, this is a break of pretty much an opening range breakout. We've got the opening range right here with a high of 25, and as soon as we break that level, we start to really take off. So let's just rewind this, and you can watch it again. We'll go back to my entry. So we're going to wait for that buying to come in. Just watching it. I don't like to be the first buyer. I like to see confirmation that there are other buyers. And right there, that's the green, the green, the green. Boom, boom, boom. I'm not even as fast as I could have been, but that's where I punch it. 5,000 shares. Now I've got 45 average, 73 on the ask. Okay, so let's pause for 1 second. So on the 1 minute chart, when we see that, oops, this is the wrong one. It's the same stock, but let me get the one that already is lined up in the right spot. Here it is. All right. So we popped up to 35, we pulled back, we surged up to 74, we pulled back, and this was forming one of those little micro 1 minute pullbacks, just a tiny little pullback, and then it's halted. Why did these stocks halt? Because it squeezed up more than 10% within a 5 minute period, a 5 minute rolling period. So 5 minutes ago, the stock was at 591. All right, and then boom, all of a sudden it's at 674, so it's halted on a circuit breaker. We're going to see that stereotypical price action right before it halts. I try to add going into the halt because what do I know? I know that 9 out of 10 times stocks that halt going up open higher. 9 out of 10 times stocks that halt going down open lower. So I want to add going into the halt. I try to add over 70, so I'm watching it right here to add. And again, I'm already thinking, if this gets over 70, we're going to go right to $7. Like, I'm already thinking that. So I have no problem adding. I'm already in at 45. If I add here, yeah, 45's on the bid. That would be break even. If it does pop up, maybe I'll lose a little bit, but I'm starting to get myself more and more into the driver's seat. So I see that buying right there. More buying, more buying, more buying. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. Watching it. And boom, I press it right there. So I press the button to buy, and it looks like at the moment I'm on the bid at 71 for some reason. And I also press the hotkey at 74. And now you can see this is what it looks like when a stock is about to get halted. It's pinned. The level 2 is pinned. Orders are going through at 74. A lot of times they're sell orders. I don't know why, but they're going through at 74. I'm on the bid there to try to buy, but I'm not getting filled. And now it is halted. We've got the H. So the halt time, 9:51 and 30 seconds. That was the last print, which we can see right here. All right, so now we're going to fast forward this because the stock is halted. So at this point, I've got 5,250 shares at 646. I'm already up like $2,500, close to. All right, so we're going to fast forward this, fast forward. So a 5 minute halt would resume at 56:30. All right, so right in here it would resume, And as it comes up, I decided to cancel that order because I was like, well, I'll just leave the one that's still open. That one didn't fill. And now I know it's going to be a 10-minute halt because more than 5 minutes have passed and the stock is still halted. So now it's going to be a 10-minute halt. So I'll fast forward another 5 minutes here. All right, so we're coming up. Oops. All right, so at this point, I can see on the level 2, it shows 722 by 728. That's not always accurate. Let me just pause that. So that's not always accurate because sometimes it'll show different numbers. So the way I like to trade these is on resumption. I usually like to buy because they usually squeeze up coming out of the first and often coming out of the second halt. So I left my order open there thinking that maybe if it opened at 70, it would dip down to 68, pick up my order, and I would add as it pops up over $8 or over $7. But in this case, it opened too high, so I wasn't able to take that trade or get those shares filled. And so instead, as soon as it resumes, I press Shift 1. I forgot to turn on my, my keystrokes. But just like that, I press Shift 1 to buy at 24. And now I've got 7,700 shares with an average of 671. Look at how fast that happened. As soon as it resumes, a second later, boom, I just punched the key and I'm in. And now I'm looking for the first target, which is 750, the $0.50. Boom, there's 747 by 758. I'm getting ready to put my shares on the ask. I still have this order here, which I have to cancel, but it doesn't really matter right now. So there, I sold half on the ask. All right, so now I'm down to 4,300 shares, and I've already closed $2,835 of profit. And I'm on the ask again at 771 right now. The ask is 778, so I'll probably get filled. Boom, just got filled. Now I've got 3,200 shares left. Close profit, $3,977. I actually have a couple orders here. I sold once at 49, a second time at 64, a third time at 77. I'm selling in smaller blocks, taking a little bit of profit into the squeeze. Now I see a little bit of selling going through there, and I know this is topped out quite a bit, so I'm like, all right, I've got 3,200 shares. I might need to hit the bid. I put an order on the ask at 68. It doesn't get filled, and so right there I hit the bid. I sell half at 50. That order was hitting the bid. I tried twice to sell on the ask, once at 76 and once at 68. I didn't get filled, so finally I just said, you know, I'm hitting the bid. Got to take a little profit off the table, and now I've got $5,253 closed profit, and I'm still holding 1,600 shares with a cost basis of 71. So average is still open $1,200. All right, so a little bit of pullback, and I'm like, okay, I'll hold this for a second. Let's just watch it. And now I know the high before the halt, or the high coming out of the halt, was 89. All right, so that was the high coming out of the halt. So now I'm watching that level. A little 1 minute micro pullback. So watch for the break over 89. If it breaks 89, I'm thinking $8 is in play. And boom, right there, I just added 5,000 shares at 85. Now I've got 6,635 shares, cost basis of 757. That's a little high, so I was like, ooh, I might be in this a little too high, but I think it's going to break $8. So right here is moment of truth. What's it going to do? 54 on the bid, and then 37. Ooh, that's not good, down $1,300. But give it a second. This thing should get over $8. It's strong, and it will. It's a little bit of churn right here, though. You can see buyers, but also some sellers. 89, 99, there we go. And look at how fast that goes. 833 on the ask. I mean, let's just slow this down for 1 second. All right, it's 85. 85. And then all of a sudden, $8 on the ask, and boom, 833. And I'm putting out an order to sell half, 817. I mean, I put it out on the ask as the stock is squeezing up, and just like that, $3,500 of open profit. It's not real. Now, I decided to add another 2,500 shares at $8. And so right here, I've got 8,525 shares, or 35, and I'm about as heavy as I'll be on the stock with a cost basis of 768. And I'm selling at 17. And I'm selling more at 11. and selling more. 3,300 shares left. Drops down for a second. I sell more on the ask. And you can see these types of stocks are fast moving. There's no doubt about it. This is some wild stuff. But this is a 5-minute opening range breakout. And it just ended up working out really well. It ends up hitting a high of $9.90. So now at this point, the current high of day is, what is it, 833, 828, something like that. So I'm watching this little 1-minute pullback for a possible add. I'm watching this for a scalp. I have an order out to sell, but I'm also getting ready to add back. I'm sort of thinking on both sides. I'm like, okay, I'll take some profit, but if I also see strength over 820, 830, I might add back. Watching the tape, we're seeing a lot of buying here. Put the order at 825, which is just about at high of day. Got my hand on the mouse. I see the buyers. If I see 815 break, I'm going to start to think it's going to go to 820 and right back to high of day. Right now, we're kind of at that psychological resistance between 790 and 810. So there's 808. Is it going to break over 810 and then 815, 817? Watching. Hand on the hotkeys, ready to go. Boom. A quick drop down to 755. Maybe gets a couple people to go short. It looks like it's going to reverse. I'm still holding a core position, but I'm looking to add at this point. A little choppy, a little whippy in this area. Watching for the opportunity to add. So this is kind of this area right in here. Right in here. We got the little dip, but we're going to get the pop. The first 1-minute candle to make a new high. So let's just hold on. Go back and pause this for 1 second. All right, so we're going to be watching the first 1-minute candle to make a new high. So let me just show you where that is. Okay, so this is the area we're watching. The high was 28. We have the pullback, a drop down to 750, which we saw. Pop back up to 715. 815, a little pullback. We're going to come up to 828. So I'm watching this right now for a break back over $8. Okay, watching. And right there, I start to see some buyers coming in. And I'm thinking if it pops back over 8 and it breaks 815, it's probably going to squeeze. So watching. And then I see some buyers right there. You see some more in a second. Watching here, knowing it can get back to 34 very quickly. See, and that's that big stretch of buying. That's what started to give me confidence. Boom. I just added 5,000 shares at 792 and 8. I now have an average of 790, 6,000 shares. I'm looking for a break of 825. A little bit of resistance here, which makes me a little nervous. And that's where I ended up selling half and getting filled at 67. That was a bad fill, right? That was the luck of the draw. Sometimes you hit the bid and you get a bad fill. I got a bad fill. I will make it up. So right now I'm up $7,500 on the name. 3,000 shares at 790. Reducing my risk is also okay, even if I take a little bit of a loss, because I can always add back, and I don't want to take a loss with full-size position. Let's move this down here. All right, so this is the area we're watching. We're still watching for 728 to break. That's the current high of day. We double topped, and then we pulled back. Right now pulling back with a low of 770. Actually, I guess we dipped to 767, which was my fill. Bad luck there. And then this will be the next leg up. So we need to see it break over 815. Still holding my 3,000 shares, up 5,000 on the day. I feel like I'm pretty much in the driver's seat. You know, I'm not up as much as I was yesterday, but I am in pretty good shape. Order ready at 820. anticipating high a day possible break. There we go, 801, 805. There we go, that's what we wanted to see. There's 828. So in this case, I decided to, looks like, sell at 20 and 20. I was a little bit more conservative. I was just kind of, I guess in this case, I decided not to add because I went from being red on the name to green, which is a smart decision. And so now we're watching it around 850 for the next trade, up $8,159. So I added like $600 on that one. And what you see here now on the 1 minute is this consolidation in this area. So we've got a high of about 850. This is the pullback. Fast forwarded a little bit of churn, a little bit of churn. There we go. Now I've got this chart up for you guys. I finally remembered to put it up. So I'm like, okay, looks good. And here we go. I'm about to press the hotkey. Boom, boom. Pressed it. 5,000 shares. I'm in at 20. So right here, anticipating the break over high of day. It's a little moment of truth. Is it going to work? I think it will, but maybe it's not. Ready to stop out below $8 if it doesn't work. I already put an order to sell half at 49, which would be 30 cents a profit. I'm going to cancel that order, I think. Ends up being, a little bit of churn there. It taps that level, but it doesn't open up the way I thought it would. So holding my 5,000 shares, or 4,600. A little bit of churn, a little bit of sideways. It then pops up here, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hit the bid and sell half. So I hit the bid right there. I saw that there was, when it popped up, I think 3,000 share buyer. And so I just decided, you know what? It's 10 cents. I'll reduce my risk and take the profit. So watch right here. It's 11 by 29, 20 by 29. And that's going to be right there. So I'm like, no, I'm going to take that. I hit the bid, take the profit. So I take the 29, and that's a little bit of profit. Now I'm down to 2,300 shares. $8,400 of profit total on the name. All right, and then right here, we start to get what looks like to be a little bit more buying. So I add. Now I've got 7,500 shares. I was going for the $0.50 break. As soon as I got in, we saw resistance at the $0.50, so I started to scale out, but I added another $600 of profit on that little scalp. This is on a 1 minute micro pullback right here. I'm looking for the break over the $0.50, and I add again, right? I'm going in again for the break of the $0.50, but it's not a clean break. So I end up scaling out, and now I've got $9,500 with 300 shares still open. So this is one where, I was kind of having to trade it aggressively, and this is where I finished the day. It ends up squeezing up over $9, and I kind of was, at this point, I was like, it's really extended on the 5 minute. I don't see really the obvious setup here anymore, and I feel like I'd be chasing it. So I'm just going to be happy with my $9,500, right? And I'll trade the next one that comes along, which there didn't end up being another one that came along today. This tapped out at a high there of 936. It's now starting to do a 5 minute pullback bull flag. And I said that I want to see 2 red candles, 1 red candle and a second red candle before I'm going to be a buyer. That doesn't end up happening. Right here, it's going to pop back over $9 and then go to 920. And then it goes to the highs. And it just, to me, wasn't a good setup for a pullback, so I didn't take the trade there. There's 915, 920, and it's back to basically back to the highs. So kind of, for me, I guess I feel like I got good trades on it on the early side with the opening range breakout, and I didn't end up trading it, towards the later part of the day. Later part of the morning. It was just almost at $10, didn't quite make it. All right, so, kind of a wild stock. It wasn't the absolute easiest to trade. I know for those of you that are going to watch this, anything that has to do with circuit breaker halts and, 80, 90% movers, it's wild. It is definitely stuff that can be a little bit more challenging, but There's opportunity there. There's no doubt about it. This was a big window from $6 to $9. And so these are some of the places where I was able to find opportunity to capture some of that profit. And, that's kind of the name of the game. You may not capture the full move from the bottom to the top, but if you capture pieces of it, you're doing well. And if you walk away with money in your pocket, you're doing something 9 out of 10 traders aren't doing consistently. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. It's a $7,000 day here, plus 10,000 yesterday and 32,000 last week. That's just about $50,000 in 6 days of trading, which is crazy. So really nice hot streak here, and it just shows you it can be done. You just got to learn the strategy. All right, hope you guys enjoy. Talk to you soon.